All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be volume one in a new series that I'm starting called Are Liberal Women Narcissists? And I think that this court case here is going to be the perfect backdrop for us to tackle the concept of narcissism or self worship within the mind of the modern liberal female. And it's something that many of you younger brothers out there are going to encounter as we continue this journey, this trek in what we call life in this society slash captivity, modern day Babylon, whatever you want to call it, where we're constantly going to be inundated with these false notions of what the woman is, what she quote unquote brings to the table of a man, and how a man is supposed to view himself in juxtaposition to a woman. And something that we always have to understand is that behind every great man is self-belief. We're constantly being told that behind every great man is a great woman. That is a lie, and everyone knows that. Now, if you're a great man, or a great man in the process of ascending to the vision that you have for yourself, and you happen to have a great woman alongside of you, that's a wonderful thing, because what she's going to do is amplify your energy. She's going to fill the gaps whenever you hit a stumbling block, and that's the job of a great woman. The average woman in this society is going to act as a detriment. And when we examine history, great men have always been taken down by women. They have not been helped by women. Now, if you happen to have a good or a great woman, that is when she's going to understand her role. But once again, I want you brothers to pay very close attention to the interaction between the plaintiff and the defendant, and many of the notions that she tries to push on the defendant, and how both he is able to nullify and offset her statements, as well as the judge being able to see through a lot of the nonsense of the plaintiff. So of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Linda Gailey's met the defendant online, and she thought he was a total gentleman until he tried to buy sexual favors from her.
Now, brothers, let's first analyze the initial statements of the voiceover narration. He stated that she met the defendant online and she thought that he was a quote-unquote total gentleman. We have to grasp that when the modern-day female uses the term gentleman or chivalry, she's talking about a potential indentured servant who's going to fulfill her fantasy of what a man is supposed to be for her. Within her mindset, she's been programmed to be a princess and a quote-unquote queen. That's what these women believe themselves to be due to their Disney programming. From the ages of 3 to about 11 years old, most of these females watch cartoons at home that tell them that they're princesses and they're queens, and what a man is supposed to do is sweep them off their feet and take them to a castle, riding on top of a white horse. So when they use terms like chivalry or a gentleman, they have no idea what those terms actually mean. The word chivalry was the code of the knights. That's what the term chivalry actually means. It means a horseman. So there was a way in which you interacted with other people, not just women, when you adhered to the code of chivalry, which of course was done away with when the rulership of Europe fell during the Middle Ages, in the latter part of the Middle Ages, in the late 1600s, early 1700s. But at the end of the day, these females are using terms that they have no idea what they mean, and it's very important that brothers understand what someone else is trying to imply when they use a word, as opposed to what the word actually means.
And treated her like a weekend sex slave.
Because to be quite frank with you, that's what most modern day liberal females are. Are there exceptions to that rule? Absolutely. But many males are starting to figure out what the modern female is in general, particularly the modern liberal female. That being just a concubine trying to posture and pose as a wife.
Linda is suing her ex for a refund of cell phone bill payments. Defendant Umberto Scali says while dating Linda, there were a lot of red flags.
Brothers, did you hear that? Mr. Umberto Scali stated that he discovered while quote-unquote dating Linda that there were a lot of red flags. Always look for the red flags when dealing with the liberal female. If you listen to them and pay attention to what they say, how they say it, and how they conduct themselves, they will illustrate to you why they have the problems in their life that they have. And for the most part, the liberal female cannot be salvaged. She cannot be saved. Just go along according to her vibe. And when she shows you that she's someone that you cannot deal with in a real relationship, you be honest with yourself, you be honest with her, and you either deal with her as a concubine or send her on her way.
Including that Linda has no relationship with her own children.
Brothers, that's a major red flag. Many of these liberal females out here, they have issues with everyone, and they're always trying to claim that it's everyone else's fault. When you see that you're dealing with a female who claims that she does not get along with her mother, she does not get along with her siblings, she does not get along with her coworkers, many times that's a reflection of who she is as a personage, as a character. And eventually she's going to turn on you in some way, shape, or form. So pay very close attention.
Umberto is countersuing Linda for the cost of a phone.
Start with you.
We met online. Our first date was January 5th of 2018.
That dating app just might be a trap.
He was a perfect gentleman. He was everything a woman would expect from a man.
Brothers, did you hear that? She said he was a perfect gentleman. He was everything that a woman would expect from a man. The modern day liberal female wants to place expectations on a man, but he could not place expectations on her. I'm talking about in general the liberal female. And I must always stress, are there exceptions to the rule? Absolutely. There are some good women out here. They're just very few and far between, and it's not even necessarily their fault. America and Western society has a culture. A culture is like a farm. They're all grown in the same soil, so they're going to grow the same way. They're going to have the same issues for the most part. But there are some standouts, and that's what you have to search for if you want to take it to a serious level. But the woman is on lifetime probation. Always understand that.
But it soon became apparent that we were looking for two different things in a relationship.
No, what became apparent was that after the infatuation phase wore off, you started to nitpick him.
I felt as though he was trying to buy my love and my affection and sexual favors from me.
Why would he need to buy your love and your affection and sexual favors from you when it was very clear that due to the fact that you were on a dating app, you were willing to give all those things away for free?
Looking for?
I was looking for someone to be my partner in life.
You didn't think he wanted to?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
What made you think that?
What made me think that? 6 weeks after meeting and dating, for Valentine's Day, I got a $1,000 Movado watch. I got a Swarovski necklace. He paid for my passport with comments about going to Rome together. He put a heated car seat in my car so I wouldn't get cold.
Now, brothers, did you hear all that? What was the mistake that the defendant made? It's very obvious that he treated her too well. You never treat a woman better than she treats herself, or better than she believes she deserves to get treated, or it's always going to bite you in the face. First off, you're not supposed to be celebrating Valentine's Day anyway. That's a big scam. But I understand how he was moving. He's an older man. He probably has a lot of money to burn, and he has no problems throwing certain trinkets at women, because that's what's going to keep them in line and in place, especially when he knows that he's only going to see her once or twice a week, and he probably has some other chicks that he's doing the same thing to. So you do have to keep your concubines properly compensated, especially if you're going to have multiple concubines. So I understand it from that perspective. But just overall, when a woman starts to complain about how well she's getting treated, that's a major red flag that she is a malcontent.
And what is it about those things that made you believe he did not want to have a lasting relationship with?
It's very obvious that the judge understands that she's a malcontent, but what I believe the plaintiff is getting at is that he was trying to replace the time that she wanted to spend with him with trinkets and gifts, and that was not good enough for her because she wanted to become the center of his life. And you're never going to become the center of a great man's life or a man who has a vision for himself and is on that trajectory, on that path. You're just going to be someone who's along for the ride, and that's very difficult for most modern day females to understand. Once again, it goes back to their childhood Disney programming. They watch films like Cinderella and Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, and they believe that a romance in their life is always supposed to end with a Prince Charming taking her to a castle and living happily ever after, where you just get to sit on the couch with her all day and you watch whatever she wants to watch on TV, and you agree with her wokey woke super liberal bullshit. These females, they truly believe that, and that's where the divide comes between males and females in this society. That's why I always try to accentuate to you brothers that you take your time in establishing any relationship, much less a serious one. The number one relationship that the so-called black man needs to cement is one with the Most High, and making sure that he has a self-identity. Are you establishing your identity based on what you have and who you're with, or is it based on who you are as a person? Until we understand who we are as people and we're self-validated, we can't deal with anybody else. That's just my perspective on it. A lot of cats are dealing with depression. I even had a brother who came into my comment section saying that he was pondering suicide. I'm going to be doing a video about that very soon. And that's because we spend way too much time trying to identify with what we have and who's around us as opposed to what's within. And of course, there are other issues, especially with something as advanced as suicidal thoughts. A lot of times that's based on traumatic issues that occurred in childhood or what have you, or just an extremely negative environment. But just getting back to the point, the woman is dealing with an intense level of narcissism where she wants to take over a man's life as opposed to just being a part of a man's life. And especially if you're dealing with a functional man, it's never going to work, especially if he's driven.
Comments such as, if there's no sex in the relationship, there's no relationship.
Of course not. But that goes back to my other point. Once the infatuation phase wears off, the woman believes that she can parse out sex to the man and he's going to tolerate it. Any man, when he wants sex, is like when a man wants food. He has to get it when he wants it. And when he consistently sees that you're going to start playing games with the pussy, he's going to become distant and he's going to move on. And what the woman is going to do is concoct a victimization narrative where the man only wanted her for sex, even though 99 times out of 100, when you first meet these women, they're the first ones who want to take the conversation to a sexting level. Because the woman deals strictly with infatuation, with emotions, and with being impassioned.
Just
In general, particularly the liberal woman.
he made the remark at one point in time that his late wife and his daughter was his slave and he didn't want a slave.
Right, but what is he really trying to say? He's telling you that he wants to be who you are. So was that any type of denigration towards you, or was that an attempt by him to elevate you? Let me rewind this back a little bit.
And what is it about those things that made you believe he did not want to have a lasting relationship with?
Comments such as, if there's no sex in the relationship, there's no relationship. Just...
Hey brothers, like I've stated numerous times, and I also saw Chris Rock recently in a stand-up special, he stated, relationships between men and women are based on two things. You want to fuck each other and you want to hang out with each other. If you don't want to do those two things, if either party does not feel like they want to do either one of those two things with someone, there's no need to be together. But that's why the woman today likes to promote this notion of a male friend, because she likes to have certain extended opportunities or options at her leisure. At the end of the day, any relationship that you're having with a woman who's not a family member, if there's no sex involved and you don't enjoy each other's company or conversation, what's really the point?
He made the remark at one point in time that his late wife and his daughter was his slave and he didn't want a slave.
That's not true. You did want a slave?
I did not want a slave, but I never made that
Go
comment.
ahead.
I believe what he was really saying was that his late wife did not have a mind of her own. She was not turning him on or titillating him with her thoughts, and maybe he was trying to give this plaintiff here a compliment by saying that he enjoyed their conversation. But as usual with the liberal woman, she'll find a way to take a positive and turn it into a negative.
If he
God
told
will
you that,
strike you dead for
man,
your lies.
if he told you that, that was a good thing.
Thank you, sir. But she's too stupid to understand that.
Tell me the bad things that he's done
I
that
will
make
not.
you think he did not want to spend the rest of his life or many years with you. I'm
Comments
missing
that-
something.
You're not really missing anything, Judge. It's just that she wants him to just be an indentured servant and be on her couch and be at her beck and call. That's all that's really about. She wants to be the center of his life. She just doesn't understand that herself or know how to articulate that.
I have sex with you over the course of our life?
No, I only saw him on weekends. I felt like I was his weekend whore. I mean,
You should be happy that he was making time for you on weekends. He's probably very busy, especially if he can afford to shower you with those gifts. He most likely is a very hardworking man.
flat out said that if we were not having sex on weekends, there was no relationship.
So
There's no relationship.
you told him during the week.
He was not in town during the week.
Well, he was saying the only time he could.
Right, so if I'm going Monday through Friday, weekends are the only time I have.
Thank you, sir.
Why don't you tell me what's going on and what went bad? Because all the things she's telling me make you look like a star to me. You know,
She had her sugar daddy, and she's blowing it because she wants this guy to quit doing what he's doing to be successful and just, you know, sit up on her couch and watch Netflix all goddamn day and agree with all her bullshit.
Your Honor.
Promising trips to Rome, showering her with thousands of dollars in gifts.
Your
and
Honor.
saying, you know, all you asking for is a little weekend hit up.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Yeah.
Can I say something? That would be fine, but this man cannot keep an erection and satisfy a woman, so...
So that's really what you're mad about. But you tried to cover it and act like he was all about sex when in reality that's what you were all about. If he was up in your old ass dried up coochie walls for 45 minutes to an hour, making you bust a dusty nut, you would not have minded that he was showering you with gifts and only seeing you on the weekend. But what you're upset about was that he was giving you that money and those gifts and busting a quick nut probably because he had other things to do. You know what's funny? I get a lot of brothers who ask me about Malcolm X and doing a video on Malcolm X. One of the more controversial stories about Malcolm X that I remember reading was that his wife, Betty Shabazz, used to complain about the same thing. That when they had sex, he didn't last long enough. And it's very obvious that Malcolm X had a lot of other things on his mind. He was not trying to be up in her coochie walls for 2 hours. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I knew that that's what it was going to get back to because, as I've stated to you brothers previously, the liberal woman is all about sex. That's why I did a video, Are Liberal Women Obsessed with Sex? That's really what the issue is, or the conundrum is that this female here is facing, and she tried to cover it with relationships and all that other shit.
He was satisfied, but he could not satisfy me.
Did you tell him that when he kept asking?
He was taken care of. He didn't care.
Yeah, Umberto was sleeping. He was good. He was thinking about the next business deal he had to make. He came over to her house, busted a quick nut, ate some spaghetti, and said, okay, I got to fly to London. I'll see you later. I'll see you next week.
Your Honor, that is a lie, and I can get witnesses.
Which part is a lie?
Right, but Umberto, you about 70 years old. If you got up in them coochie walls and you lasted about 15 strokes, you gave the broad a nice diamond necklace. You ain't got to explain nothing.
Action part.
Wow, I didn't know we had people in bed with us for him to have witnesses.
I guarantee you have not had anybody else in bed since Umberto left.
As a man, I think it's offensive if she says that I'm out there for sex, and if I can't get an erection, I'm not sure what the answer would have been.
Because she was trying to use a red herring. She was attempting to blame you for only wanting her for sex, and she viewed you as pumping all that semen in her real quick, as you not being concerned about whether or not she got off. As soon as you left, then you probably left a couple $100 on the nightstand and made her feel like a hoe. That's what she's mad about, Umberto, and she's trying to cover for it by claiming that you didn't want to be in a real relationship with her.
I would even stay with her if she said sex was the only reason. The reason why I didn't stay with her, Your Honor, was a lot of red flags within a relationship.
Hey, brothers, you hear that? Umberto's dropping some game. Always look for the red flags with these females because they have a lot of baggage that they're carrying mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So make sure that you note what those bags are. You don't have to carry them, but you do have to be aware that they're there.
Number one, she has no relationship with her kids.
Ding.
Her grandkids.
That's a lie because my daughter contacted me today.
What's that really mean? A lot of these women do not get along with their daughters, especially. They give their daughters so much bad advice, especially when they're like in their teens and early 20s, particularly involving relationships, that the daughter gets to be 30-some years old and becomes very resentful towards the mother because they realize that the mother sabotaged her relationship on purpose so that they could both be miserable.
And I can get my phone to prove that.
During our relationship, she had almost no relationship with her children,
But she does today.
This brother probably back on his show next week suing her daughter.
Today.
He's
May have
never
been
met
10
like
years,
this.
may have been 10 years, but it happened today. And it's never too late, you know.
He's never met my kids. He doesn't know what the relationship is like
Oh, that's
between me
even
and
worse.
my kids.
Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, she did meet my family.
So get that, brothers. Supposedly, he only wants her for sex, but she met his family. He never met her family. Isn't that interesting?
Some of the red flags also were that she said she lost a ring or that it was stolen by my daughter.
Quick ring.
There was a ring that her ex-boyfriend had given her.
Okay.
Evidently must have been an
Ex-fiance.
She's an ex-fiance. As if that's a compliment to herself that she got a man to propose to her. It's very clear that something fell apart there because you're not with him. You try to get with Umberto. Maybe that's really why you're upset. Maybe you're upset because you thought that you could replace the ex-fiance with Umberto and that shit blew up in your face. And you realize that you made a big mistake in whatever you did with the ex-fiance.
So she accused my daughter of stealing a ring. My daughter did not need that ring from her. It's a cheap ring anyway.
Tell him, Umberto. And we know you're rolling fat. we know you got the fat pockets. So Umberto could probably look at a ring and be like, this is some cheap shit. Where'd you get this out of a vending machine?
I know.
I have the ring right here. I don't wear the ring you gave me because it's...
I hope it's
Bitch, please. You got the Green Lantern ring on.
left hand. We're sitting at the kitchen table when she got the ring, Your Honor, and she goes, here, put it on my finger. My daughter freaks out, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Am I getting engaged or something without me even knowing it? So I basically said, no way. And she mentioned that she told me she loves me many times, which she did. I never told her once that I'm...
Because you're a player. You're a player from the Himalayas. You bust your quick nut, left a couple C notes, a little ring for the bros, some plane tickets, and got the hell out of Dodge. He's like, I see you next Saturday. And if you want to, we could fly out to Rome, to Paris. I'll bust a quick nut inside of you when we get to the Eiffel Tower and fly your ass right back to wherever the hell you came from. We both happy. But Umberto ain't telling no broad he love her for what? That man's 70 years old. He's already had enough of relationships. He's about getting his money and busting his nut.
That's not
one
true.
time.
That's not true. When we were at the gas station, you went, I like you very much.
Right?
Right, but what does that tell you? That should let you know that he don't love your ass.
Not yourself because you don't want to say those words.
That's right, because it means a lot to me.
Sam.
So, Your Honor,
Say.
Umberto's a player.
The word.
not to her.
I don't want your love. I'm not for sale.
Tried to buy her love.
I try to be kind, sir. I did never have to buy anybody's love at all. I'm just that type of person. There's-
And
Umberto's a businessman. He tried to help her understand what she was. She could have been a kept woman. And in these last days, a lot of these females are going to have to ask themselves, would I rather be the second or third wife to a good man, or a well-kept second or third concubine to a good man, or be by myself? Those are going to be their options, especially as men continue to wake up.
and I try to help her. And that's what got me here today.
how is $1,000 Movado watch that I don't even wear helping me? I have no use for it. I told you that at the time.
You gave her $1,000.
He was trying to help you understand what time it was.
She told you I don't have any use for that.
She never said that, Your Honor. She wore it. We went to a party. She actually put it on and started showing it to everybody around us.
I'm not surprised. The broad is upset. I believe that she's mad that she blew the last relationship with the ex-fiance. I also think that she realizes that Umberto really don't give a shit about her as much as the ex-fiance did. A lot of these females think that men could be easily replaced, especially when they listen to these stupid-ass songs on the radio, like Beyonce to the left, to the left. I've stated numerous times on this channel before that the main reason why most of these modern-day females are so upset is because they realize they had a good man and they blew it. It's just that they happened to have him when they were 20 years old or 21 years old, and they thought they were going to meet someone else after they were finished having their fun, and the shit hadn't worked.
Did you? Not today.
If you notice, the only necklace I wear is my crucifixion because I know that God
Because you need prayer.
is on my side and he will see through the truth.
Yeah, these liberal whores, they're always trying to claim God and wearing crosses and all this nonsense. Be the biggest whores all over the internet. Yes, but I know that God is with me and God is in my heart. Now, please. God ain't in your heart. There's a bunch of strange men's semen in your vagina. That's about the only thing inside of you.
All right, your refund, cell phone bill payments. How does he owe you for that?
In December, I took and paid for a year's service at $20 a month, which was our agreement. I have my Discover card bill here. February, he sent me a text message saying that he was going to cancel my phone. I continually tried to contact him to tell him, look, I just paid for a year's service. He did not communicate back in any way, shape, or form.
Right, but you're an independent woman. You don't need any of his trinkets. You don't need his jewelry. So why would you need him to provide a phone for you?
I finally sent him an email saying, here's proof that I paid for a year. I want a refund or I'm going to sue you. And his remark was, well, why didn't you show this to me before?
You have the evidence that you paid 1 year? And obviously you wanted the money back because you shut the phone off?
Yes, sir.
Sir, what do you...
I'm sure that Umberto understands that this is par for the course because he seems to think like a businessman. Brothers, when you engage in any interactions with these modern day females, always have a business mind. Okay? Always have a business mind. When they try to initiate the agreement or the arrangement, whatever you want to call it, which is the real term for a relationship today, they're going to try to approach you with the facade of quote-unquote emotional love. Because that's the way in which they create the affinity between themselves and their corporate partner, that being the man. But what you'll notice is that, especially if you watch these court shows, as the relationship dissolves, it's all about business. Because that's all it was ever about from the beginning.
This.
Your Honor, the reason why she couldn't contact me is I blocked her.
Good for you, Umberto.
All right.
Well, you didn't block me long enough to tell me you were canceling it. You just didn't want to hear the other side.
Quiet, ma'am.
Well, Your Honor,
When did you
she
find
started
out?
texting me from a different number, telling me this wasn't
When
one
did you
of her friends.
find out she had paid a year?
When she sued me.
That was the first time you learned that she had paid up front.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right here it shows the email from March 12th
Let's see it.
that discusses it being paid up front.
On March 12th. Why did you not tell me this when I said I was going to cancel it a while ago? I want my $200 returned. Sir, you all did discuss it. Discussed it in March. Your counterclaim is for what?
My counterclaim is for the price of the phone.
How does she owe you for it?
Because I paid for that phone, Your Honor. And there was a
You cut the service off and you haven't received the phone back.
That's correct.
All right, ma'am, what do you say to him receiving the phone?
Right here is my AT&T Discover card payment for $484, which was the cost of the phone,
See it?
made in June. That phone was paid for in full.
Except, Your Honor, the price of the phone is $533.74 as shown on the receipt from AT&T.
And except also for, ma'am, this says services.
Ding. So in other words, Umberto brought you the phone, which is the reason why you're upset about it in the first place. You were just paying the bill. You didn't pay for the damn phone.
You've attempted to defraud the court.
No, sir,
with
that
a
is what the
document.
cost
Ma'am, it
of the
says
phone
services.
was.
It says services. You've highlighted it. I guess you didn't think I would read all the way to the end. Your claim is dismissed, and so is yours.
Umberto don't care. I don't need that money.
Have a good day.
What a shock. A liberal woman trying to lie her ass off. What a damn shock. Brothers, once again, always pay attention. Look for the red flags. Look for the signs, okay?
It's going to hurt his business when his clients find out that he can't be trusted. I mean, this was a really...
So in other words, you're threatening to run on social media and attack how he makes money. So you're just going to end up back in court. He's most likely going to have to sue you.
good thing for him to decide on.
I hope she can move on with her life, and she has a happy life, and just stay out of my way. Don't make me super happy.
Umberto said, that made me super happy. Stay out of my way, or things can get a little nasty. Hey, it is what it is, brothers. Always be careful when you establish these relationships with these random females, you never know how things can go. Always expect things to go left. Hope for the best, but expect the worst. Peace.